How's everybody doing? By now, you guys must have gotten used to me and spontaneous streams, and just boop, almost every day I pop up one. And this is going to be another spontaneous stream. It comes from Psalms chapter 119. It says, verse 1 and 2 says, "Blessed are the undefiled in the way, who walk in the law of the Lord. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies and that seek him with a whole heart." I wanted to choose that of a particular scripture because it's just two verses. Because a lot of times that is misunderstood by certain people, and it's all good, but I'm just saying that things can mean more than they seem. So if you go and read the New Testament, you'll understand what they mean by testimonies, and you'll also understand what they mean by the law of God. In fact, in Romans chapter 8, if you ever go and check it out, the beginning of Romans chapter 8, they talk about the law of liberty versus the law of Moses. In fact, it was said the law came by Moses, but grace and truth by Jesus Christ. It's a whole different kettle of fish. I think it's grace and mercy, sorry, by Jesus Christ. That's a whole different kettle of fish. So without going into too much, because I know there are a lot of varied people out there with many different belief systems. But without going into too much, I like to break it down to its essence, because I like you guys to understand the logical sense of things. This scripture that I just read to you applies to everything. Everything. It's talking about people who are undefiled in the way. And listen to the words, undefiled in the way. What is the way? The way of life. All right, there's no arbitrary wording inside of these things. A lot of things have significance. It's they who are undefiled. What does undefiled mean? It means not messed up. So in other words, the way is plain before you. It's clear to you. It's not undefiled in the way in terms of, oh, you're getting dirt and mess on you, but it's that your perception of the way, you can see the way, it's clear. You single-eyed or single-minded. You can see the way very clearly and you know where to walk. They call it the narrow way, meaning tunnel vision, clear focus. I know where I need to go. That's what I mean by undefiled in the way. You understand? And then it goes on to say, who walk in the law of God. And just real simple, real simple. It means to walk in goodness. Let's keep it real simple right now. You're clear on what it is to do good and where to go, and you walk in that. That's what it is. So not only are you undefiled in the way, that is, you're clear on which way to go, but you also walk in that. You can see it clearly and you walk in that. Got it? That simple. And then, blessed are they that keep his testimonies. Every testimony of God is a milestone. The testimony is yours about him, not him about you, because that's not necessary. So it's the other way around. You about him. So when you talk about God's testimony, it's really talking about your testimony of him, your witness of him, your experience with him, your walk with him. And the reason why, and your walk with him, obviously, is to walk in the way. And why that's important is if I take out the personification of God, I say your testimony of goodness. Good things that happen to you. That's your testimony of goodness that you recognize are not normal things, and you appreciate them and you walk in that. You try to do what has happened to you. So when good things happen to you, you want to do good things back. Now there's a power through which you can do that and execute it perfectly. And that power is in a certain type of spirit, a good spirit, a good mindset. And that mindset is what we tap into. We understand that this virtue called goodness, which was really God, that is God. That is what needs to be inside of us. We tap into that. And when we tap into that, we are able to do exactly what that thing is, that quality. It's really that simple. That's the easiest way to break it down to people. And therefore, with that understanding, you have to understand now, when you receive what we call Jesus Christ, which just simply means God saves or good saves. When you receive Jesus Christ, that's what you're receiving. That spirit. That's the thing we all aspire to be. Good. All of us aspire to be good. And that's the easiest way to explain it to somebody. And it calls for a rebirth, because everything that you see from there on in is not the same. And I decided to use this different language because everybody will understand what I'm saying when I say that language. When I speak that language, it makes sense to everybody. It's very natural for us to want good things for ourselves and for other people. The thing about it is, usually we want these good things to happen to ourselves and to other people, but we don't ourselves want to have those good things flow through us, and we ourselves be good to other people. We ourselves now start to embody that goodness. That is to be embodying God, what we call God incarnate. Now God is in you fully. And that's what we talk about when we say we are full of the Spirit. The Holy Spirit is good spirit. And let me just break this down, because I want to go a little step further. If I may, God was able to partake in humanity and experience what humanity has experienced, the good and the bad. Remember, when humanity actually fell, it's because they ate of a tree that was good and evil, its fruit. That's a metaphor as well as it is literal. And so to partake of mankind was to partake of the good and the evil of mankind, with the purpose of pulling mankind out of the evil and keeping mankind just doing good, straight up good. It's all good, just to keep on saying it's all good. That's what it was all about. But by Jesus experiencing our infirmities and the horrors of humanity, by him experiencing that firsthand and taking it on, the spirit of that, the virtues of that into himself, absorbing that into himself, you know, he's perfectly good. He was able not only to experience the good part of ourselves, but also the evil part of ourselves and overcome it. Still being good on top of all of that and doing the absolute utmost good act, which is to literally sacrifice himself so that he could spread that spirit of overcoming evil, so that we could have that spirit in us. And that spirit is called the good spirit. Some people call it the great spirit, good. It doesn't matter what you call it, because at the end of the day, it's not defined by what you call it, but what it is, its quality. That is what defines these things. And so I wanted to spend a little time on Psalms 119 to, again, emphasize to you guys and empower you. And when I tell you guys to get to know Jesus or to ask him for yourself, because Jesus gives you information that no human being will give you, an insight that no human being could give you. He give you that. I'm pretty sure a lot of you never heard what I just said, the way how I said it. Not necessarily you've heard it said before in a certain way, but you never heard it the way how I said it. That ain't me saying that. That's the insight from talking directly to God about it. That's something that God gives you. You have something God will tell you that when you share with other believers in God, ain't nobody would have heard it that way, the way how you said it. They'd have heard it before, but not in the way how you said it. And the way how you say it, remember, blessed are the undefiled in the way. The way is the same. But see, each of us have different experiences. So the way how we may describe the way may be a way in which somebody else who does not know the way, it makes them help them to understand the way and want the way. That's the beauty of being an individual and different people in the members of the body of Christ. Each one of you has a special contribution to make and bring to the table in only a way that God works through you that's unique to you. And you reach other people because of that. Anyway, I wanted to spend that time speaking about that and the law of God, the law of liberty. The law of God is really simple. It's the law of goodness. It's real simple. It's real simple. Goodness is a thing, and everybody knows this. Everybody knows it inherently. You all know this. It's very natural. Goodness is a thing everybody loves. Everybody gravitates towards. I don't care if you good. I don't care if you evil. I don't care if your intentions are evil. Everybody wants something good to happen to them. Even the evil people. Even the devil. He ascribed to have all this power because he thought it was a good thing. Everybody wants goodness. And that's the power of God. God is good. Everybody says it. Everybody wants to be like God. Everybody wants, the ultimate compliment is to say, I am God. A lot of people want to say that. Everybody wants to be God. Everybody. Because the attribute is desirable. Because good things make you feel good. Because good things are just the thought of good. Everybody likes that thought. Why do you want to be a millionaire? Because I think it will be good for me. That's always the answer. It's always about something. At the end of the day, it's always about something good. That's why I told you guys there must be a God. Because there's always good. It's real simple. Everybody can identify with that. Everybody. People don't like bad things happening to them. Nobody likes bad. That's why it's called bad. Ain't nobody like bad. Everybody wants to live. Even the people who are suicidal. Yes, life is tough and hard, but they got to really will themselves to kill themselves. Because why? Because everything inside of them wants to live. We all want to live. Nobody wants to die. These are universal truths. They're just natural. Think about what I'm saying. So that's as simple as it gets with the scripture. So when we talk about they who walk in the law of God, we're talking about the law of goodness. And the law of goodness says everybody likes good. Everybody wants good to happen to them. So guess what the royal law says? Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. Is there anybody who wants other people to do bad things to them? No. So what's the law? What's the royal law? Do good as you would like others to do good to you. It's really simple. Or do God as you would like others to do God to you. Get it? It's real simple, folks. Real simple. It's so simple a child can get it. In fact, children get it real easy. But we complicate it. So it's the mind state of Christ. I'll try to break it down, getting past all the hoopla and the hooly so that whoever you are, you understand. And that's why I said you don't need to go to no human being to talk to Jesus. You don't need to go to no human being to talk to God, but he can answer you through human beings. He can answer you through situations. He can answer anything. He can answer you through anything. He can talk to you through anything, but you would know his voice. You will know it. See how easy it is? It's easy. All right, let me just say to you guys, if you want to talk to Jesus, just ask him. If you want to talk to God, just ask him. It's that simple. You want to know who they are, ask them. Yeah. Ask them. And you'll find out what they really are for yourself. It says here, blessed are they that keep his testimonies, and they that seek him with a whole heart. You seek God, you ain't going to be disappointed. All right, let's get into what we're going to talk about today, which is Tim Burton and the appearance of the DCEU, how he impacted that, right? Let's talk a little bit about that because that's what this video is about. Tim Burton, man, he did some really awesome work, man. So I'm going to show you guys some stuff here because you know who? It's one of the people in a previous video I had. I'm going to try and find that video. Okay, I'm going to try and find that video. Give me a second here. If you want to leave comments in the chat section, don't forget you can leave your comments right over here in the chat section. You know what I'm saying? Leave your comments in the comment section. If you want to join the hangout and talk to me in the hangout as well, just let me know so I can send you the link. I will not hold it permanently because there are other people who can be watching this video who are trolls and, you know, mess up stuff. So you got to be careful out here. But let me just go to the chat section, see what's up with you guys. You know, some of you guys might give me a shout out today. I got to go to work still today. So, you know, hold your horses on that one. Yo, some shout outs here, man. R2 Limited playing Kingdom Hearts 2 and listening. My dude. My dude, R2, Dave Ethan, can't talk right now. I'm working right now. Talk to y'all later. Keep up spreading the knowledge. Big up to you, Dave Ethan. Love this guy. This guy got a lot of love in his heart. You know, I like that. I like that. I like people who, you know, they have this desire to see betterment for other people. That's dope. So, R2, man, if you want to join the hangout, let me know. I'll shout you out. I'm gonna put you in the hangout. Throw up the link up on there if you want to. Otherwise, you know, you can play your Kingdom Hearts, man. Enjoy yourself. And we can still you know, we can still vibe, man. But I want to show you some stuff, man. I want to show you guys some stuff. So first, let me show you a couple of things. I'm gonna go put up the link. Okay, man. I'm gonna put up the link right now, bro. I'm gonna put up the link right now for you. Right now. Hold a second. I'll put up that link for you. Yo, this is the link to the hangout, my dude. I'm gonna take it down real quick. So once you pop into the hangout, I'm gonna pull it down. It's 3 o'clock already where I live in Trinidad and Tobago. Yo, I see we got some Trinities up in here. I saw there were 2 Trinities that came up on my channel. I was like, yo, Trinity. Yo, and shout out to you Trinities out there. And whether you're abroad or locally, shout out to you guys from Trinidad and Tobago. Y'all dope. Y'all dope. You know how it is with us. You know, it's together we aspire, together we achieve. It's our motto, our anthem. You know what I'm saying? So we like to work together with other people. We do it like that. Yo, what's up, R2?
Yeah. Pretty great, actually. Summer vacation. The school's over.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Early summer, boy. What you going to do for the summer?
I'm starting on a job next Monday. Not tomorrow, the next Monday. And then there's the weekends when I'm doing the bouncer job at a bar in this walking distance from here.
Sweet.
Also, I have 2 summer courses.
Oh, okay. So you keep him busy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, man. I like how you always playing a video game or something, man. I love that.
Yeah.
You always stay busy, man. Well, for me, I basically have my vacations whenever I want to because I work for myself. I'm self-employed, so you know, whenever I want a vacation, I just take my vacation. Yeah, man. So, hey, we're going to talk about Tim Burton and the appearance of the DCEU Superman Batman. I don't know if you've watched any of my other hangouts before, but one of them, we realized Tim Burton, he was responsible for the changed look of Batman, right? So Batman had what we call the Victorian strongman look, and that look looked like, you know, where you got the undies on the outside, right? I'm gonna show you that again. So I'm going to go to screen share right now, and as I'm talking, I'll talk as well, but you know, you can also watch the screen share if you want to. I mean, you are playing a video game, so I know your attention will be multiple different places. Don't worry about it. I know you can do it. So,
Nothing is great.
yo, I'm right now in screen share, and I'm popping up on the screen right now. Bam! Right up on the screen. Yep. This, so you can see all of the outfits of the live action depictions of Batman and Superman. Really cool. And the very first, for those people who don't know, the very first Superman, it wasn't really, well, it's kind of in live action because they captured him in a fair, was Ray Middleton. And that was Superman Day in the New York Fair in 1940. And if you look over here, let me zoom it up a little bit. Let me zoom up a little bit more. There you go. Right. There you go. So there's the very first Superman outfit. This was the year after Superman came out. I think it was 1930. No, actually 1938 Superman came out. So 2 years after, Ray Middleton was seen in the Superman Day Fair in New York City. Really cool. And this is the original. Yeah.
They got the Action Comics number 1000 when it came out. It had these short stories in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those stories had Superman in that exact costume. Well, maybe there wasn't that.
Yeah, no, it was the exact costume. This is the original.
The boots. I recognize the boots. The S shield. I don't think it had that text on the top of it.
It didn't have Superman on it. It had the S, and the S was more kind of flatter. But the point is, this was the original Superman outfit, right? It wasn't. You know, the shield wasn't looking like this. In fact, there was a time when the shield was square. It's kind of square-like. You know,
Oh,
so this is Ray Middleton, the first guy ever captured in live action. If you go up on YouTube, you can see, just type in Ray Middleton, and you will see the actual footage of the fair and him standing up there, and he's performing for everybody. It's really cool as he moves by in the fair. They have it in color, they have it in black and white. It's really, really awesome. All right. Now this was not. Yeah.
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 4-year-old video.
Yeah.
So World Fair, July of 1940. There are many people crowd dressed in Superman shirts. Hold on.
Yeah. He was the very first. That was the very first time people had seen Superman in an outfit, you know. And I'm trying to remember something else. There was something else because they was at that time, a certain time, they were disputing whether it was Ray Middleton or not. That was the actual person who was doing that. There was a little controversy behind that. But yeah, so that was Ray Middleton. That's the very first Superman. But you notice, I don't know how many people know what Victorian strongman is, but you can always Google that and you will see the Victorian strongman. He basically is like a wrestler, like modern day wrestlers, where they have their underwear on the outside. And, you know, sometimes they had on a skin tight outfit and then the underwear on the outside. So that's where Superman kind of came from. These two Jewish guys, Shyster and the other guy, they basically came up with this idea for Superman. He was just a strong man. And the first live action depiction of Superman, which was on television, was Kirk Allen as Superman in 1948. The Atom Man versus Superman. I actually have that video of it. And you can always look up for it on the internet, Google it, and actually download the actual first story for Superman. It was really cool with Kirk Allen. He was the guy. And then we had Lois Lane. She actually had black hair, that Lois Lane. It was really cool. Lois Lane actually behaved like a reporter and everything. It was really cool. You guys, if you haven't seen that, and they begin that that episode with they begin it on Krypton. The story of Superman begins on Krypton, right? So that would be cool for you guys to see. Hello, anybody hearing me?
Yeah,
okay. I'm still. I can't.
I was also thinking about what you just said.
Yeah.
That's on Krypton as well. Okay, now I really have to. You sold me that. I need to go and look it up.
Yeah, you need to check it out because Kirk Allen, and it's very, very long, the Krypton sequence, and they explain everything. On Jor-El was telling the council that Krypton was dying and they wouldn't listen to him, and then the place started to get destroyed. In fact, the 1978 Superman was basically doing the same storyline with Krypton, actually. But anyway, after this, we had the George Reese Superman, right? The Adventures of Superman as we know it. They had the pilot episode, Superman and the Mole Man. So you can check that out. It was from 1951 to 1958. Very successful. Kirk Allen Superman it only ran, I think it was like, what, 6 or 7 episodes. And they were it wasn't very long. And it wasn't, the first Kirk Allen's run of Superman was not as successful. It was George Reeves' run that really made Superman a household name. It played on television. They got the pilot running, and then they got the whole series running and everything. It started off in black and white. Then they got added color to it as time progressed. And it's really ironic. They did a movie on this that George Reeves actually hated being Superman. He hated playing the role. He didn't like all the attention, and he had a whole set of issues that was going on. And he had gotten sort of a depression, and he eventually committed suicide, for those who don't know. So
Hollywood movie.
Yeah. And so, but again, all of these depictions of Superman had the Victorian strongman outfit with the underwear on the outside, right? And then we had Superboy, played by David Wilson. No, sorry. No, he wasn't Superboy. Sorry, he was Superman. We'll get to Superboy in a minute. But David Wilson, he played this Broadway depiction. It's a Bird, It's a Plane in Superman in 1975. And it had some success. It wasn't the most successful thing. And then in 1978, Christopher Reeve's Superman came on the scene, and that blew everybody away. It was the first time the special effects on that thing was incredible. You know, people always wanted to fly, and for the first time, they really saw this iconic depiction. Before that, we really got even the George Reeves Superman. Sometimes they'd mix animation showing Superman flying. Sometimes they have George Reeves in front of, you know, this very basic screen, and he's kind of flying by clouds, kind of like what you would see in Sesame Street. For those of you who know Sesame Street, you know, Super Grover, where you see the I don't know if you guys know about Sesame Street, but you know the clouds and stuff moving along. So that's basically what it was. And then they had the animated Superman series of the 1943 and onwards. That was dope as hell. I love that.
Oh, yeah, those I am aware of. I remember owning some of those on VHS. Yes, I think that it was probably one of my aunt had some of those, and then there's actually pretty funny thing I remember also that about the dubbing it had done with the dubbing is not actually a pretty big deal, but it actually shows something of a production value put into those things.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Basically, it was basically like, okay, let me do a little rough imitation on an announcing words. The original English version, it probably went something like this. And when they said, "Look up there, look, it's a man, it's a plane, it's Superman." That's relative. Yeah, that's the original. Yeah. But the dubbed version, when they did in Finnish, it went something like this. At the sky, look, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. It's that thinking about thinking in retrospect between those two, it was like let's get this done so we can get this over and get out here. It's out there along with other things like some other dubbing productions that I could talk about, but they're off the topic. Right?
That's what they did with Super Grover. It was like, it's this bird, it's a plane. No, it's Super Grover.
Oh, by the way, about the dubbing things, Superman's Finnish name, it's not Supermies, which you would expect it to be. It's Teräsmies, which actually comes from Man of Steel. Like Superman, really? Superman is literally Steel Man in Finnish.
Oh, cool. So what did they call steel?
Probably just teräs.
What does that mean?
Steel.
Just steel? Okay.
Yeah, just steel.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so as I was saying here, you see that Christopher Reeve's Superman was revolutionary. I'm not going to lie to you. The job that at the time, I mean, I didn't see it in 1978 because I was only 3 years old then, but I saw it in the 80s and I loved it. It sparked my imagination. You know, I came up in the era of Bionic Man and $6 Million Man, for those people who don't know, Bionic Woman. And of course, Christopher Reeve's Superman was like, it was epic. Okay. For me, it blew my mind. And I was only a child then. So Superman really, I mean, that became a blockbuster that blew all records for all movies and everything. And it was the start of the comic book movie. So Christopher Reeve, that's why everybody calls Christopher Reeve the standard of Superman, because he basically ushered in a new era of Superman. And also his outfit was a little bit different. It was a lot more modern. If you look here, you know, now he had more of this was more like boxers here going on because, you know, it's the 40s. And now it was more streamlined. He was more muscular kind of looking. And so Christopher Reeve's Superman was the standard. It was the bar. Okay.
Yeah,
and
it's time when we're looking at the previous ones and the changes that came after him. And like these previous ones, they pretty much look like just some guys in a costume, like cosplayers, like George Reeves' knees. Look at the knees George Reeves has, and then the posture and the muscle down, and then for the Reeve have, and then the guys have coming after him. That like, yeah, that's.
It was much more. Yeah,
they all have a much more toned up, bulked up bodies and
much more toned up.
And bodies and.
Well, the truth be told, Superman began as a sort of in the era of gangsters and mobsters and stuff. So he was a tough guy. So like George Reeves' Superman was kind of a tough guy Superman, very stoic, very tough, He had that appearance of a mobster almost. And that was the kind of thing that happened in the early eras of Superman. And then people said, you know, Superman was way too, what's the word I was looking for? He was way too authoritarian almost. He was like a dictator, you know? And so they kind of toned it down. Christopher Reeve's Superman was the first Superman to kind of toned it down, was kind of compassionate, more like a friend, as he described himself, a helper of mankind. He would save a lot of people. George Reeves' Superman would punch people. He beat the crap out of people and stuff. You know, and this Superman, Christopher Reeve's Superman, kind of avoided kicking butt. All right. In Superman 2, he beat what's his name? Zod, and he beat them up. But for the most part, you know, if you look at Christopher Reeve's Superman, he's not really a bad boy. He's more of a lover guy, and he's more of a sweet guy and a kind guy. And, you know, it's as powerful as he was as Superman, you didn't really get that George Reeves kind of Kirk Allen kind of feel to Superman, where Superman would literally kick the crap out of people. So they sort of changed the tone of Christopher Reeve's Superman. And so all of those things worked out well. Of course, John Williams' score is still one of the great scores of all time when it comes to the Superman theme. In fact, it's well used in the comics and in animation and in successive television shows. So, you know, Christopher Reeve's Superman became the standard somewhat of Superman. Even though he didn't fully reflect Superman, he became the standard for Superman for those people who haven't read Superman comics and that kind of stuff. Anyway, so you got all this Victorian outfit, but look at the S. Look how the S is changing here. So it starts off as an S, or starts off as a
S.
And then this one has really a nice design to it. This is kind of what Henry Cavill has. It's more of this design. And then we have this S here, which is pretty cool. And then we have one that's kind of more compressed. This was for opera and that kind of thing, theater. And then this here is cinematography. This is the cinematography, or the cinema for the theater, the cinema, this S. And it's really the S that everybody usually looks towards. Kind of shorten it up a bit. And we got little variations of it. We got Superboy. Again, all of them wearing the Victorian outfit. No, mind you, we're now in the 90s when Jared Christopher started playing Superboy, the series. It was John Haymes Newton that started it off, and then Jared Christopher, he took over Superboy for a little bit. Dean Cain, notice that there's almost no rest between the Superman, maybe an 8-day rest, 8-year rest, if anything, but they're always keeping Superman in front of your eye. Dean Cain, Lewis and Clark Superman. To me, that was one of my most relatable Superman. As I got older, I started to get detached from Christopher Reeve's Superman, especially after Superman 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. Dean Cain's Superman was actually a great show in the 90s, and I remember seeing it sometime when it came out in the 90s, when I was probably somewhere in between preschool and not exactly preschool, kindergarten and preschool. I remember that my grandmother had actually knitted a Superman costume for me and my brother, and we had those kind of things, costumes. They were, yeah, she had done for us.
Right. And the interesting thing about Dean Cain's version of Superman was it was the Lewis and Clark Adventures of Superman. So it had to do a lot with Lewis. It had to do a lot with Clark. So we saw Lewis and Clark interact. We saw them get married. We saw them living together. Lewis knows Clark's identity and that kind of stuff. And so that makes it really interesting. Before that, we really didn't have any version of Superman in live action where Lewis actually knew who Clark was. I mean, we had Superman, Christopher Reeves. I think it was Superman. Was it 2 or was it Superman 3? I can't remember. I think it was Superman 2, where Lewis knows who Clark is, but then Clark goes and reverses time. He kisses Lewis or something, and she forgets.
Yeah, that's the second movie.
Right. That one I didn't particularly enjoy either. But the point is, Dean Cain's Lewis and Clark really stole my attention with Terry, who was, you know, she's gorgeous and everything, and it was funny to see Terry.
Something about Terry Hatcher, about how there was something about she probably was portrayed as a mature character and a serious Lois Lane, but there was a tiny pet peeve that I had with her. It was something about the way how she sounded, the way how she spoke, and her voice. she still has that voice, and maybe I don't think if it has changed that a bit. She was in the second season of Supergirl, playing
Yeah.
Off the Balance, and when she did the 19th the Lois and Clark show, TV show, she somehow sounded like a little girl. It was
Right. That was the whole
something
point.
like watching a grown woman but hearing a little girl speak.
Yeah. She was annoying, which is the point. Lewis is supposed to be slightly annoying sometimes. Even if you look at this version of Lewis that's played in the DCEU, what's her name?
Amy Adams.
Yes, Amy Adams. She's a bit annoying if you really pay attention to Amy. Amy's a bit annoying. And that's supposed to be that way because Lewis, even the early versions of Lewis with Kirk Allen, Lewis is somewhat annoying. She's always going after the story and stuff. She's overlooking Clark and stuff. And it's really funny how driven Lewis is. And yet she has that kind of little girl sort of annoying persona that could really get under your skin. And I think that Amy Adams has captured that if you listen to Amy Adams has a sort of high-pitched voice. So does Terry Hatcher. She has a somewhat high-pitched voice for Lewis and Clark. And if you go and watch Superman, that Kirk Allen series, there again, Lewis has this high-pitched voice. In fact, even in Christopher Reeve's Superman, the lady who just died recently, who was playing Lois Lane, she also had a high-pitched voice, a shrieky high-pitched voice. It's quite annoying. She had a husky, high-pitched voice. And I think that's because I'm not too sure why they exactly do that character that way. I mean, with Amy Adams, she's more soft-spoken, but she still has that high-pitched sort of, I don't know how to explain it, shrillish kind of voice. And she's kind of, if you look at Amy Adams, she can't sit down still. There's this kind of uneasiness to Amy Adams as she's playing Lewis in any movie. She's smiling, then she's kind of frowning, smiling, kind of frowning. And it's kind of off-putting, and I like that because if you're going to be a reporter, if you're going to be on a story, if you're going to be caffeinated all the time, then you're going to be irritable. You're going to be someone who's kind of annoying. And I get that that's just the way Lewis is. Lewis is not one of those calm personalities. She's not, you know. That's how I think about it. But yes, Lewis and Clark, I thought it was very interesting because of just the dynamic between Lewis and Clark throughout the series, which made it interesting. And when Lewis's life was in danger and she almost died, I think she died in the end or something like that. But whether she died or whether Clark died or whatever, you know, it's always interesting and intriguing just to see the dynamic between those two. And that series went for 6 years, so it was really, really good. People really enjoyed that series. I miss it because for the humor between the two characters and how they tried to jostle with each other to be the hero of the day, I found that very interesting because Lewis was very much as up to the task of being a hero as was Clark. And so I think that series kind of showed up certain dynamics that I really was amused by. I think that the whole thing that I enjoyed was Lewis and Clark's banter. They never made it sexual. They never made it sensual per se. There was some tension between them, sexual tension, but for the most part, it was more about the daily dynamics, how they get along, how they operate, how they get to the story, how do they interface with each other in the story, and then how Clark behaves. He's still the bumbling kind of reporter guy, but we see more dimension to him than just this bumbling reporter guy. So I always enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's also something about it's also about how much it was influenced by John Burns, the Man of Steel.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
Looking at Dean Kane's figure right here, and it's shown that he has the longest cape among everyone before him. And well, there's Nicholas Cage's Superman would not as tall, but maybe a little tall. But it was also something that John Byrne, when he wrote the Man of Steel and modernized Superman's origin, it's also seen about and I have it over there, but I can fetch it sometimes. But something about how the cape was made to and was drawn to float in the wind and
right.
And also there's the Clark Kent.
It was a longer cape.
Clark Kent was updated that. There was the difference that Byrne made by making Clark Kent be the person and Superman being the masked persona.
Right.
That's
And the beauty of it, like you said, was Superman was more regal in that he had a longer, more draping cape. And if you look here, before that time, we really didn't have characters that had that long cape down to the heel of the boots. So you're absolutely correct about that. And you know, they were saying that he was more Clark Kent than he was Superman. But up to this period in time, even though we knew that Superman came from Krypton, we never identified with Superman as an alien. No one ever really emphasized on his, as much as they gave the Krypton story. People always, for some reason, even myself, were under the illusion that Superman was a human being. For some reason, even though he's coming from Krypton and everything, oh, he's human.
Yeah, that's in the Silver Age, the age covers. You know, there's the thing they're calling super. That's there's mostly a website known as Super Dickory, which has showcased about the how the Silver Age Superman acted like well, as like a dick, like a jerk. And one example of that was when Jimmy Olsen had turned into noticeably alien, like had a green skin, multiple eyes, antennas coming out there, and Superman was like, "He's an alien, take him away."
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Google Super Dickory. It should come up as one of the examples. There should be a website.
That's right. There you go. So, I mean, Superman's an alien. He's telling the other guy he's an alien, you know. But the thing about it is, I don't think a lot of people register that Superman was an alien until Tim Burton. So now, to be fair, in the season finale, the third season finale of Lewis and Clark, Dean Cain adopted the Kryptonian wear of Superman's suit because I think he rose from the dead. I think he died and he rose again. So they try to emulate.
Actually, no. That this attire, it was about it was an arc, something like the Battle City of Kandor, but it wasn't actually a Kandor. It was something about there being some other Kryptonians who had survived the explosion. They didn't use Kandor name, or actually there was a Zod kind of character, and something like that. Kal-El was a prince who had at birth been ordered to be married to some other Kryptonian princess, and something like that.
Okay, so he was dressed in this Kryptonian gear because he was on Krypton?
Yeah, because the other Kryptonians came to take him away so he could lead the others. And others against some other regent or some kind of Zod kind of character. I don't remember what his name is, but it was something like that. And then that guy and that other character learned that you get superpowers on Earth, and then there came against, and we had the Kryptonian invasion and so on and so on.
Right. Well, thanks for correcting me on that, because this is the first time we see Superman dressed in an outfit, not his Superman outfit, mind you, but still in an outfit, a Kryptonian outfit, where he does not wear the Victorian garb, right? This is important. Remember, this is live action we're talking. Now, in terms of movies, on the other hand, Tim Burton took that and he said, you know what, we're just trying not to go in that direction. If you go and if you go and watch the documentary by John Schnepp, Superman Lives, and on why it was canceled, you would find out that Superman actually wore an outfit something like this. This was actually a test outfit, though. This is not the final draft. And he was not going to wear, this. This looks like a G-string, but he was not going to wear the Victorian garb. So really, Tim Burton, and if you listen to Tim Burton on what he was intending to do and what they were intending to do with Superman, the goal was to show that he was an alien and how hard it was to adjust to life on Earth. It reminds you of a given movie we just saw recently. And so, you know, he was going into the difficulties of being an alien amongst human beings. So he was really going to go into that. If you haven't seen Superman Lives, that was done by John Schnepp, you can go ahead and look at it online. I think it's on Vivo. Not Vivo. What's it called? Oh, man. Oh, hold on a second. Let me see if I can get it for you. So, okay, let me go here. I know you guys are seeing all of this, but what's it called? You know the other place. It's not YouTube. Oh, you know what? Let me just type it in. Superman lives at, oh wow. It's on online. Documentary. But it's online though. I saw it online. I don't think I saw it on YouTube. I saw it on not Vero. What do you call that thing? It's not YouTube. It's another thing. It's not Vero. It's not Vero. Huh?
I don't know. It's probably something.
Oh, God dang it. I can't remember the name of the thing right now, but they have it posted up on there anyway. But you can find it. All right. I just did this so you guys could see where I would be going, but apparently I can't find it. Hold on a second. It's not YouTube. Urgh. Oh well. You know what? I think I have it somewhere here. Hold on a second. I'll find it. There you go. This is it. Vimeo. So go look on Vimeo. Type in The Death of Superman Lives on Vimeo and you'll get it. All right. What happened 2005 on Vimeo? Okay. So you guys saw that. Let me go back to what I was saying. So Nicolas Cage, Tim Burton is the first. Well, he's not the first person. I mean, well, yes, he was the first person because this is Superman's outfit. This is his outfit, not this. This is his Krypton. What's his Kryptonian wear? But this is not. This is the Superman outfit. He's the first guy to really introduce that, especially in movies. He's the first guy to introduce this particular outfit. Before that, we also had yes, he's the first guy to introduce the idea of Superman not wearing the Victorian garb. And if you do look at that, this is 1997. If you look down here, remember Tim Burton was the first guy to also introduce Batman not wearing Victorian garb as well. Can you say that again? Because you broke up.
Batman Troika. It was something I remember reading about it.
Right. I'm not quite sure what I heard you say, but you're saying something about Batman's drawing?
Troika. 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 It was something about what they did in the comics. It should also be at the, if you look at Batsuit's big Wikipedia page.
Okay.
Okay. I'm checking out myself. Not here. Somewhere in the 90s.
But what I'm saying is Tim Burton.
Yeah, it's in the cover of Detective Comics 6.
Which comic is that?
Detective Comics 600 and that's either 632 or 682.
682?
Yeah, of Detective Comics. It's the way it has the black suit that has black
yeah, but
suit like the Tim Burton movies.
Yeah, but Detective Comics 682 is not before 1989.
Or then it's 32. I'm gonna make sense of the not numbering it.
But
this is what it says in the
was it before 1989? I'm pretty sure he was wearing Victorian garb before 1989. He wasn't wearing.
Yeah, probably, but it's Detective Comics. It's try seeing it. It's 632.
632.
Yeah, it's pretty mushy picture and pixelated.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, this is what it says about Troika in Wikipedia. Well, no different terms of gadgets. The batsuit that Batman wears, the first of the Troika storyline, it is noticeable that darker than the default costume. The costume is also much sturdier than his regular costume. It's made of Kevlar for added protection. Batman designs it to with the encounter of day with day in mind.
Is it this one you're talking about?
What?
Detective Comics 632. Is this it?
No. Hold on a minute. Go to Wikipedia. Write Batsuit in it, and it's supposed to be it's there. You can see it's there.
Hold up, I'm doing it.
And then there's the content variants in publication, and then there's 2.3 Troika.
Black Batsuit, Wikipedia.
Or just Wikipedia. Big Batsuit. Then there's the contents there, variants and in publication, and there's a two. Just click them. Okay, Gonna do it that way. Down, 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 down. Or just
They just have the bat suit. They don't really say. They don't talk about black back suit.
go lower. It's in the variants in the publication part. A little
Okay.
bit lower. Oh, there it is. It's
Where?
Up. This is the other in other media. Up. It's up, 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 up. This is still the other media appearances.
Other media appearances.
Yeah. Yeah. Up from here. It's in the preview. Up. Still up.
Go up.
Yeah. Okay, it's not that. What the hell is it? It's before the new 52. It's under variants in publication.
DC Rebirth.
Yeah, then there's the back. After that, there's different. There it is. There it is. There it is.
Where?
That's the one. That's there. That is. There's the image of the cover. There's the black.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, he's all black here. Detective Comics 682. Detective
82.
Comics 82.
Oh.
Okay. Let's check it. 682. He's all black there for real. But I think this is after. I wouldn't be surprised this is after.
It's probably after. It's way after the movies came out, or it's
way after
the Burton movies or maybe the Schumacher movies. But it was based on the movie costumes.
Yeah. So I'm saying that no one was wearing that costume before Tim Burton came on the scene. In fact, that costume is very unique to Batman. This wasn't really based. This costume here wasn't based on the comics per se. Now, of course, movies do affect later on comics. You know, we've seen it time. But I'm talking about where no one really had this suit. This suit wasn't in operation. Tim Burton came up. The costume designer and people came up with this design. This is not really, even though this looks a lot like Batman, and you know they did a brilliant job. This was not something that Batman wore. You know, and so I believe that Tim Burton is a pioneer in this regard, and even the tech suit that happens with Batman Begins and stuff, this design here is still built off of what Tim Burton did back here. See how similar they look? See that? Even the suit itself having this kind of armor-plated suit, you know, that sort of stuff never happened before. Tim Burton introduced all that stuff into the equation. And similarly here, Tim Burton was about to introduce, again, a whole different Superman. So you need to really look at that documentary I just put up there because it's really cool. I mean, the suit actually lit up at a certain point. It would just light up inside of it and show the definition of the guy's muscles and everything. And that technology they used for Henry Cavill's Superman, you know, the metal plates under, or the metal looking stuff underneath, lightweight metal looking stuff that directed light in his suit. That was from the technology Tim Burton and they were messing around with for Superman Lives, which I would argue that anything Tim Burton's doing, it would have come out really great. I think Superman Lives would have been a fantastic movie. But Warner Brothers they just felt it was too risky and they just canceled the movie, and they shouldn't have done that. Again, Warner Brothers, sometimes they blooper, man. Yeah, you got to push the anvil. You got to push the, you know, and you know, even if you look at the shield's unique as well.
Yeah, it's this too. That was not work in progress. Then that's probably was the final shield. It's something you can expect that different universes, different versions of the story, and that they have different symbols.
Yeah, and I'm
wondering what the story was with this. So it's got that this unique symbol, and this looks like a standard symbol.
You know what's the interesting thing, though? The interesting thing is Tim Burton literally put the design down for the new 52 Superman, the Rebirth Superman, and the Superman. Look at this suit. This suit looks very much like Henry Cavill's suit. Okay, this is like the new 52 suit, pretty much. And notice
that new 52 one has the color. Yeah.
The only thing I would say is that you know, this design was just whack. This G-strings thing is crazy, but I don't think he was going to come out with. I don't know what they would have done because it was still early in the game when they canceled it. So It's just incredible though. And then of course Brandon Routh when he was on Krypton or something like that, I think returning from Krypton, something like that. He was very
looking for Krypton.
yeah when he
That's
was in
the story. It's actually funny. I remember in the video game updation there was he used that sword when he was trapped in war world fighting Mongol.
Right. So here we have the sort of grayish silverish suit, right? And of course, you know, Dean Cain had this suit from Krypton, which was really cool. And then of course Brandon Roth's Superman suit. Tom Welling and the finale of Smallville, he had pretty much a similar suit. And I've always felt that
supposedly it was exactly the same suit.
It actually was the same because it was supposed to be the same Superman. It literally was supposed to be sort of a
no, it wasn't supposed to be the same Superman. They probably used the same costume for production cutbacks, and if there was a recently made Superman a movie and an available Superman costume they could use as a prop, then they were of course going to use it.
No, but the point is that I do believe that the Smallville Superman was supposed to be this Superman that you saw in Superman Returns with Lois Lane, and they were trying to probably build off of having Superman's son and stuff like that.
That doesn't work.
No, because if you look at the Lois Lane in Superman Returns, she very much resembles the Lois Lane from Smallville.
Except that Lois Lane in Smallville knew he was a Kryptonian, about his Kryptonian backgrounds and all things since season 9. Probably.
Again, so did Lois Lane in Superman Returns. She knew that, and she even knew it was his son.
Yeah, I remember the song, but the Superman Returns was supposed to be a continuation from Superman 2.
No, was it?
Yeah, it was.
From Superman 2?
Yeah. Brandon Routh was said that he ghostly or some other things was made to look and replicate Christopher Reeve.
No, he didn't replicate Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve had a completely different outfit to start with.
Yeah, that's probably true, but his performance was like that.
No, man. This is a Smallville Superman. But what I say to people is that, remember, Smallville was still running when Superman Returns came out, and remember the guy who directed for it was the guy for X-Men. I forgot what his name is. You know his name, Bryan Singer, right? And Bryan Singer said he was trying to appeal to the more romantic side of Superman than the hardcore side of him, to appeal to the woman demographic. But because that's what Tom Welling in a certain way kind of appealed to that, but it was more mystery to it. So even though they always look for Henry Cavill like Superman, not Henry Cavill, sorry. They always look for a Superman that looks something like Christopher Reeve. Even Henry Cavill, you see him in the Superman suit, and some people think, you know, he's taking over from Christopher Reeve. But the point is, that's not all to it. It was that, yes, they were trying to use a Christopher Reeve-like model of Superman, but remember, Tom Welling's Superman he wasn't Superman in the suit until the final episodes of Superman, the final episode, season finale. And so if you think about it, if that's pre-Superman we're looking at there, then Brandon Roth would be sort of Superman who'd been Superman for a while, and then now he's coming back to Earth. He left Earth for a reason and he's coming back. That's the storyline. So it would really Tom Welling Superman.
Before you go any further, how much of Smallville did you watch?
I can't remember how much of Smallville. I haven't watched it. I know that Jor-El came down to Earth and all that stuff. I understand.
Yeah, and then there was on the other seasons there were 2 Zods in Smallville. There was the Wraith Zod, who was in the Phantom Zone, and then there was a clone of Zod created from an orb that was held in Lex Luthor's father's mansion.
But the thing about it is,
and they had Doomsday show up as a kind of like a Frankenstein monster who not Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde. There was a paramedic who would turn Doomsday.
That doesn't matter because remember Tom Welling, remember Brandon Routh's Superman goes to see Krypton, and we all know in the classic Christopher Reeve Superman, Krypton was destroyed. It was destroyed. So if you're saying that Superman Returns is a follow-up to the Superman Superman 2, then there would be no Krypton. He wouldn't have to go to find Krypton. If you think about it,
but also have the comic adaptation of that movie, and there's a few issues, a few page prequel that recaps the first two movies, and then has a little about that scientists find something that resembles Krypton, and Superman went to check it out if Krypton truly was there.
But Smallville,
and it took 5 years for him to go there and come back on a ship.
My point anyway is Smallville, there was people from Krypton, there was Jor-El existed and all that stuff. Now, that's all I'm saying. So I just believe, I'm just been looking at the costume design, that this is more of a feed off from Smallville. And it feels that way. If you really watch the movie, it feels like a fall off from Smallville, but just that you don't have the Smallville. Smallville is not really mentioned in there. It's more of Metropolis we're dealing with. So that's my thing. And Lois Lane, she has a child for Superman, but she doesn't let him know that. But
it's alluded in a Superman Returns that the child was conceived before the 5 years and that Superman was gone. Well, for obvious reasons. Why am I going to bring that up at all?
And Lois Lane went with another guy.
Yeah. No, but it was supposed to be Superman's son.
That's an interesting story because, again, the story, it shows that, once again, you have this different twist to the Superman story. So I enjoyed Superman Returns in some ways. I didn't really like it. It was my favorite movie. I liked when the bullet hit his eye. I liked when he picked up the car, and sort of basically an homage to the first action comic with Superman on it. I liked some of the story. I liked, especially the extended version with Krypton and the extensive stuff where, being on Krypton, watching Krypton break up. And again, Krypton had the design, not exactly like, again, it's not designed exactly like Superman 1978. It's not really, it looks different, but again, they took some of the stuff from Superman 1978 and used. A lot of things are taken from 1978 movie. Krypton from 1978 looks a little bit different. It looks significant. Yeah. But
that's something I remember that when Smallville came out, I was regular reader of the Smallville Wikia pages, and then there were in the behind the scenes informations and trivia, they mentioned a couple of times about how they used the CGI backgrounds from 1978 movie.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't look the same.
Yeah, but it's probably just, well, maybe they adjusted it a bit. Not much, but enough to make it look different.
I believe, as I said before, that the Smallville sort of approach to this movie, I believe that Bryan Singer and all these guys, they took more of a Smallville approach to the movie. Yes, of course, you got, they tried to get Brandon Routh to behave a little bit more, some of the things he did. But then again, so did Tom Welling. Tom Welling behaved kind of like a bumbling reporter, just like with Clark Kent and that stuff.
Not at first. That only came out on
He was bumbling. Only to Lewis, he behaved normal, but otherwise he was clumsy and bumbling.
Actually, Lois helped him create a persona in Smallville.
I know. I saw Smallville, so you can't. But what I'm saying is that, and I'm talking about when they actually were in the Daily Planet. I'm talking about, right? Smallville expands a lot of stuff. He was with the, the college stuff and the high school stuff or whatever. So Smallville spans a long space of time, but I'm talking about when he was in the Daily Planet, he was this bumbling guy still, right? Which is Brandon.
Actually, the bumbling at its creation is it's easy to remember because he started using it somewhere around the end of the 10th season. And when he was fully using it, and when he was fully trying to embrace acting like that, that's the episode where Booster Gold showed up to try to take Superman's place in history as the greatest hero of our time that we had. Because Booster Gold has the moniker of the greatest hero you've never heard of till now.
Right. So so you saw a lot of superheroes go through Smallville, a lot of villains go through Smallville. But the point is, I'm just saying that a lot of people always talk about how Superman Returns pulls, you know, mostly from Christopher Reeve's Superman. But I'm saying that Smallville definitely had an influence on that. And you can see it in the costume design. Whether people want to say yes or no, why? Ask yourself, why are they wearing the same costume design? It's not just to save money. I think it's that they're saying that this here, in a way, this is a continuity of this. That this was a little bit further down the road to this. That's what I always feel was going on here. Yeah, he had a little curl in his hair, and Dean Cain had it too, and some of the other people, because I think Superman always had a curl in his hair, but Christopher Reeve really made it famous, you know. But the point anyway is, when you look at the costume design, Victorian garb, right? That's the point. And Tim Burton's the guy that kind of set it going in movies. Television, Dean Cain was probably the first to show it. And when you look now, after Smallville series was over, they needed to have Superman go on. So while they didn't do another Superman movie after Superman Returns because it bombed at the box office, in spite of critics saying they liked it and whatever, we didn't have another Superman movie until 7 years later, and that happened with Man of Steel. And really, it's through Man of Steel.
It was actually revealed to be the next Superman when Smallville was still ongoing.
Was that?
Yeah, Henry Cavill was already announced to be the next Superman when Smallville was still ongoing. There was a scene where.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is. What I'm saying is that Smallville series came to an end, right?
And we also had the season 11 and a comic book series.
Right.
That had Batman also in it.
Okay. But the point is, this was coming to an end. So at the end of the day, they needed to continue something else. I mean, let me see. After this didn't come off the ground, they had Smallville running, right? See? So 3 years later, they had Smallville. So there's never really a long break in not seeing Superman in live action. We always had Superman in the animated series, and all those other things were going on. Superman movies and all of that was going on in terms of the animated end of the spectrum. But in terms of live action, they always try to keep Superman in front of your face. Whether it was bombing at the box office or not, they wanted to keep Superman in front of your face. So that in 2013, we had Man of Steel come out, which was Henry Cavill. And for the first time, the stuff that Tim Burton was trying to do started to come up to the big screen, right? Tim Burton was trying to do this since 1997. And now some of what because Warner Brothers has all this collection of information and what Tim Burton was, all the storylines and scripts and all of that stuff. So they could pull from those different things. And that's how we got Henry Cavill's Superman, which is based on a sort of organic Smallville-like Superman, which is Tom Welling's Superman. And he even has, if you really pay attention, there's some of the storyline from Superman Returns in Man of Steel. So they kind of borrow little bits and pieces of how they wanted to approach Man of Steel. But I always believe that Tim Burton gets most of the credit for this particular character, because they went into how difficult it was for someone from another world to adjust to our world. And I feel like that's what Tim Burton really wanted to shoot at, that alien part of Superman, that he really wasn't one of us, that he actually another world, and that he had to adjust to our world, and how and not understanding fully who he was, adjust to being accepted in our world. So I found that foundation was something that now everybody realized, oh, wait, Superman really is an alien. Like, nobody really thought about it that way.
I can buy that.
Yeah. And so, this is what Tim Burton was really wanting to do. If you ever read if you ever watch The Death of Superman Lives, that was one of the major things. The other thing was his major, believe it or not, the major villain in Superman Lives was going to be Brainiac.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, Brainiac was going to be the major villain, and Brainiac was going to look kind of spidery. And it's very interesting if you ever watched the last episode, the penultimate episode of Krypton, when Brainiac appears on Kandor, he's kind of wiry, and he's got all these wiry kind of things, and then he forms up into this kind of humanoid form. And it's interesting when you go into Brainiac's lair, he's got all these tentacles coming from himself. And so I believe that that was the direction Tim Burton was actually trying to go with Brainiac. That Brainiac's not really humanoid. He's more of this kind of spidery, wiry, tentacle-like thing.
That's pretty much what they also did in the Injustice 2, and that alone actually is also from the new Krypton, or the Superman Brainiac story that Jeff Johns wrote.
Right.
Somewhere before the pre-New 52. It had the actual Brainiac show up in the then present DC universe, where and reveal that the Brainiac is not an android. He's a Kolu. He's a scientist from alien scientist from the planet Kolu, and also and those other things that what modern Brainiac is, and all that is pretty much what Krypton is doing with the character.
Right. Exactly. Jeff Johns' run of Brainiac, which is very interesting. And there's so much going on Krypton now, because you have Val-El, who's actually alive, and they're gonna pull him back from the Phantom Zone because he ended up in the Phantom Zone, and General Zod's gonna pull him back out of the Phantom Zone, and there's just so much stuff going on. Remember, they're moving Doomsday, the I forgot what they're called, the Scythonians. They're moving Doomsday into Kandor to combat Brainiac, because they think Doomsday, and they know Doomsday is going to be released anyway, so they might as well put him in Kandor. So when Brainiac really starts to come down and do his thing, there's always Doomsday to just wreak havoc and kill out whatever's in Kandor. I think they should evacuate everybody from Kandor first, but anyway. So it's a very interesting series. I don't know how it's going to end up for episode 10. I'm really looking forward to the next season already, but that's another story for another day. Yeah. So if you look at the S on Superman's chest here, this reminds us of the S here that we saw with which Superman was that?
The originals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Back when Man of Steel was still coming, and they revealed Henry Cavill's costume. My first reaction was that he wasn't supposed. I thought he was going to be more like the Earth 2 Superman in the modern era, and with the DC multiverse,
right?
How it was in at the time of Crisis on Infinite Earths. There were the Earth 1 Superman and the Earth 2 Superman, and it was pretty reminiscent of the Earth 2 Superman's costume. So I remember commenting on Facebook that he's not gonna play Kal-El. He's gonna play Kal-El, no L, just L.
Right. So, well, it turns out that he looked like this, which is different to the new 52, the Earth 2. He's a bit different, but this looks like the new 52. This is like the upgraded new 52 here, and this is
kind of.
He's just his own thing, kind of like he's kind of new 52, but he kind of lives up to what Tim Burton wanted to do in the movies. So he's kind of the first movie published Superman without the Victorian garb.
And they actually pretty well established also how and why it looks like that by being
right. And then again, similarly to Tim Burton wanted to have wording all over the costume. He wanted to have wording glyphs all over the costume, and very muscle bound costume. And it so happens that Henry Cavill's costume is very muscle bound, and he has Kryptonian glyphs on it. It doesn't have the comic book.
Like in the new 52, it was explained that the costume is a ceremonial costume that Kryptonians wore, and not his mother's knitting.
Right, exactly. And I think that's the direction that these two costumes actually come from. This is a Kryptonian costume. This is also what Tim Burton wanted to do. I don't know what this is really. I don't know how this fits into the equation. That would be interesting to find out. But because I know he was reborn, so I don't know if this is the reborn one or what. I'm not too sure. But what I can say is that this is kind of the result of Tim Burton's work, and again, his influence. And that's something that people don't realize. Everybody kind of gives Zach the credit, but Tim Burton had a lot to do with how this actually ended up being an idea. And then, of course, this is the Kryptonian garb we saw him in when he was talking to General Zod. And then we, of course, have Tyler Hoechlin's Superman that appeared in Supergirl in 2016. I think it was season 2. And this is sort of the new 52 Superman.
Yeah, it's also the kind of the strappings that also almost extend to the shield are also pretty much from the kind of like from Injustice and from was it the New 52 Earth to Superman hoods also extended.
Injustice Superman? Okay.
Yeah, Injustice and also from the New 52 Earth to
Earth 2.
Yeah, right. Google that. You can also see how that was supposed to be the modern version of Kal-El of the Earth 2 Superman and the Golden Age Superman. And also, like, at that point, when the Superman was supposed to be, all the DC heroes were supposed to be young versions. The Earth 2 versions were the older versions, who pretty much are the same ones.
So Kal-El, something looking like this, like an Earth 2.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah, so I'd say Earth 2 Superman. So so that's what we have here. So I just wanted to point that out because I talked about how Tim Burton affected Batman, but I forgot to tell you guys about how he affected Superman. You know, he kind of set the tone for what Zack Snyder did with Superman as well. And he set the tone for what people did with Batman. So I don't know how much, as you can see, after Henry Cavill's Superman came out, we have not had Superman with any more underwear on his outside in live action.
Yeah, that's probably going to change when they decided to put it back in the comics with Action Comics 2. Thanks a lot, Michael Bendis.
But you remember, they generally follow Rebirth comics. So if the Rebirth comics stay the way they are.
Yeah, the Rebirth comics did stay the way they are. We had two Superman costumes in DC Rebirth. We had the dark blue Superman costume that had blue boots in it, and then there was the Superman Reborn storyline, which had the pre-New 52 and New 52 Superman merged into one Superman with both of their histories. So in the current continuity, they have with the red boots back, the red belt or yellow belt with the red belt buckle in it. But now starting from Action Comics number 1000, Superman has his underwear back in the costume again.
Yeah, I saw that.
Also, the sleeves have cuffs also, similar to Henry Cavill's costume. But
I don't think they're going to continue in Rebirth, not Action Comics, but Rebirth with him with the underwear on the outside. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to do it at any time in movies either. That's not going to happen.
Movies is probably not going to happen anymore unless they find a believable way to make it happen. Like I don't know what.
I don't think they do it in live action either. So I think that's it for Victorian wear. Those people who have a nostalgia for Victorian wear, you know, like comics, they always have various variations of a character. But in terms of for the future, I don't think Superman is going to be wearing his underwear on the outside as a general rule. I don't think so. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. That Tim Burton, he had that impact on basically changing the way how both Batman and Superman looked in the comics, and not just in the comics, but also in live action. We know that after Tim Burton did this here, the New 52 Superman came out way before Henry Cavill was on the scene, and he had lost his Victorian underwear. So by the time Henry Cavill's Superman came out, you know, there was a designer Superman without the underwear on the outside. And I think that's what Tom Welling didn't want to do that. He didn't want to wear. he didn't want
to wear the costume at all. When he did become Superman, all the shots of him were from the clothes up.
Yep. He didn't want to wear.
He didn't even wear the shirt. He didn't even wear hand I have the upper half of his body. We didn't even see him wear the S on his chest.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I think he didn't want to wear it. He thought it was probably a ridiculous costume for this time, for the modern era, especially. But that's basically it. That's what I wanted to share with Tim Burton. I think he also changed. Also, Tim Burton was able to help us look at the psychology of the characters. When Tim Burton did Batman 1989, he was really into the psychology of Batman. And I think he was going to show the psychology of Superman, just like how Zack Snyder showed the psychology of Superman in Man of Steel. I think he was going to go more for the psychological aspect of Superman. So there's a lot of things that Tim Burton really brought to the table when it comes to Superman. Even if you look at Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, I was seen in Supergirl for a couple seasons, they tried to just touch on some of the everyday challenges that Superman and Supergirl have, and that they are people and they have lives, you know, that kind of thing. They tried to touch on it. They haven't really touched deeply on in my opinion, the psychological aspects of them, of the characters, but they tried, you know what I mean? As I said before, I don't really see the CW as deep. I think it's more for kids than it is for
probably most of the teenage drama kind of audience.
Yeah,
not but drama in general and relationship dramas. That's most pretty much. In the last stream I was in, I remember telling you about how I don't watch Arrow anymore, how Flash should be named something else. I don't even know what the Legends of Tomorrow are doing anymore. And actually, when Supergirl was still on NBS, and they had the crossover with the Flash, there was a joke, something I remember about some scene where Cat Grant's character had asked Kara about cupcakes, and if you had to ask his cupcakes which cupcake to take, which one would you take? And that was seen as a metaphor for the relationship things that CW has.
Oh my God, that is just so not my interesting. That's just so not interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, the thing I liked about Supergirl when it first came out, people were like blasting it all, Supergirl, blah blah blah, was that they treated Kara El as a person and she wasn't just seen as a sexual entity. So I kind of liked that. I dug it, how she had difficulties and stuff. But then a couple of seasons, a couple episodes later, I just was not interested in it. I was like not digging it. It was like, yeah, man.
I had something about that I wasn't watching it alone. I had a friend with whom I watched it. Well, not right here. I have a pen pal with whom I have written back and forth on when I watched it. The same thing with Gotham, but the relationship wrong when Supergirl moved to CW and we got the. What the hell was that guy? When we got the
mute my microphone.
What was the guy's name? We had the other not Kryptonian guy. The oh, I need to think what the character's name was.
When you look at like you're saying,
the character's name?
His mother, she fell in love with him or some crap like that.
Mon-El.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mon-El was a character that the friend with whom I watched Supergirl, that she didn't like the character. I thought that some frat boy, royal douchebag, and so on. I think me and her, we watched the second season to the end, and didn't really bother to watch the third one when it started coming. So yeah,
that's the one with Terry Hatcher.
Yeah, Terry Hatcher played Mon-El's mother. Yeah, mother.
Yeah, I mean, I don't consider those things drama. Like you said, it's probably more teenage drama. You see, like what's happening in Krypton with a plot
relationship, soap opera drama.
I'm not into that. I'm into plot design and you know, thriller kind of stuff and how the plot twists and turn. I like that kind of stuff. So Krypton is my thing. I love Krypton. Krypton's really, I don't like everything about Krypton. Let me just be honest with you. All right. Some things about Krypton just make me roll my eyes. But, you know, I like how they have this plot moving along, and the plot moves along rather quickly. So I enjoy it, man. I enjoy the crap out of that thing. But like I was saying, you can see how much Tim Burton affected the appearances of Superman and Batman. And I think, you know, he had a lot to offer to the table that Warner Brothers they just never got the vision, man. They never got how cool this guy was going to be. He was going to be like, again, this just push the bar. And that's back in 1997, man. 1997. Shoot. 1997. You could have, you know, since 1997, we could have had a Man of Steel story. Way before the MCU even came to be, before all of that, you could have blown our minds, because he blew our minds with Batman, 1989. And he was probably going to blow our minds again with Superman Lives. But it's cool. I mean, everything in its time. Zack Snyder took it over, and people gave Zack a lot of slack, but he's a visionary, man, when it comes to Superman and stuff. And I love how the organic feel, again, it felt like kind of like Smallville. Felt like Smallville a bit. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. Anything else you want to say as you are watching your video game and enjoying your vacation?
Well, I'm not. Well, I was thinking about on my own YouTube channels, but not yet. But I did mention that I have, you know, in the previous streams, video comments, that I did start a WordPress blog, and I think that could work as a precursor to whatever YouTube channel I might start in the future. It's basically about, I think it was one of the assignments I had to do for school about on a website I had to designing and so on. And I will start putting out articles over there and during the summer. I'll share the link at the Justice League United Facebook group at some point.
Okay. Will you be writing any articles on current DCU themes or current DCU movies, or you'll just be doing, again, probably crossovers?
The admin, the source. The address that I got is about games, movies, and comics. Not particularly in that order, but games, movies, and comics. If it's a movies, then maybe it's about movies as well. That maybe I could write an article about Man of Steel, maybe BVS, Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, Justice League, and the upcoming Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman 2, and so on. Every time I do publish there, I could share it on a Justice League Unite and on my own Facebook.
Put the link up in the chat section so we can get.
Hold on, I'll look it up. There's just 2 articles in there right now. The one I have to do back then.
Okay. And by the way, those of you viewing this video, you can leave your chat comments in the chat section. Aquaman's coming around the corner. Comic-Con's coming around the corner. Just now, it's going to be full-blown summer, which is really awesome. And I can't wait to hear the news on Aquaman. There's nothing coming out on Aquaman right now. Nothing on Shazam right now. So I have nothing else to give you guys when it comes to those things. But I'm looking forward to also discussing and breaking down a little bit more on Black Panther, as well as you haven't seen Infinity War yet, right?
Haven't had the time.
Right. But now you.
And I'll put it. Where's that? Here.
Just put it up in the chat section right here so we can see.
The chat section. Okay, that works too. That works too.
Yeah.
Remove the network addresses and try again. It doesn't allow me to put it there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'll see if I can put it in the Hangouts. You can share it somewhere.
Yeah. Just put it in the chat. There you go. I see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the one article so far. Opening my site and beginning to share. That's
Okay.
the only article in there right now, and then that was when I had to finish the course.
Who's Arthur Michael? You?
That's yeah me. My whole name is Arttu Mikael, and that's
Ah.
American kind of comes to Arthur Michael. Arttu Arthur Mikael Michael.
So you have the journey begins.
Yeah,
And
the journey begins was already there. It was basically a default article, and that the opening my site and begin to share. That's the only actually right. And
okay.
it also has some has a couple of typos probably. I need to read them better. And the background image is my avatar character from Kingdom Hearts as Union Cross mobile game.
Okay, so I'm putting it in the chat section right now.
If it does get there.
Okay, went in the chat section. About
Okay.
games, comics, and movies. Okay, so it's in
Yeah,
there.
I started writing some articles, but I think I'll see if I can get some articles by the next week there about some games or some comics. Actually, I could.
Yeah. So
I could start with this one actually.
yeah,
It has been there since the first three we had. It's been there. Next one on the stool. JLA Avengers. Could write about that. About
that'd be cool.
what the relationship between DC and Marvel was before the MCU came out.
Exactly. That would be cool. I would love to see that. JLA and Avengers or versus Avengers.
Yeah, by Gordon Busiak and George Perez.
Cool. So on that note, we are about to go. To those of you who've been watching this video, thank you for watching. You've been watching R2 Lebanon and me talk about Tim Burton, the appearances of DCEU, Superman, and Batman. We're just giving a little rundown on that stuff, as well as we were talking some other things, such as what R2 does. And you can always check out his WordPress. It is in the chat section right now. He's going to put up some articles. He hasn't put up any articles yet, but he's going to be doing some post on there, some publishing, and he says he's going to begin with JLA versus Avengers, so kind of look forward to that. For those of you who are looking at the season finale of Krypton, it's going to be coming up this Wednesday. It also replays on Friday on Sci-Fi, as well as you can also check out it online. There's a link if you want to see it. Just ask me. I'll provide the link for you online, as well as you can download it if you have what do you have? You have to have what do you have to have? You have to have, I'm trying to remember what it's called, torrent. So if you have a torrent downloader, then you can actually download it and then open up the torrent to see it. So for R2 Limited, for myself, Anson Philip, Christ I Am Disciple, I want to wish you guys a wonderful week as we begin this week. And R2, I hope you enjoy your vacation. And on that note, let's go. I'll see you guys later.